You're on. Hello.
Y'all should be directors back in the game. So check it out. I don't know if Kiki, you haven't been on me before. Tanika, you haven't been on before. Laura, some of y'all know Laura. I don't know how you feel about that, but
she looks familiar, but I can't. She was
delicious.
Who look familiar?
Laura, I probably saw her, but I watched so many random videos on YouTube, so I don't.
Have you ever been to jail in China?
Who?
You.
I was on other episodes, and you don't quite forget the hair or the personality. But
for the people who haven't met Laura or she looks familiar, Laura told us what it was like to do time in jail in China. So I hope y'all get a chance to look at it. We had
once I learn how to do makeup, I'm going to do a little teardrop right there just for you.
Wow. That sounds awful. I just think of like Asian prisons is like the ultimate hell. I don't.
Yeah, I watch Locked Up Abroad.
Maybe it's what America shows.
Wait, that's a show, Locked Up Abroad?
Yes.
I want to watch it.
Yeah,
it sounds traumatizing.
I was lucky enough to be in Shanghai, so that's one of the better detention centers in China. Had I been in anywhere else, it would have been probably what you saw on TV.
Bread and water.
That's what we're here for. So here's what I'm gonna do. If anybody wants to hear her stories about doing time in the joint, what I'll do is post the link in here so you guys can check that out. I want to go into a couple different areas. One, we all met via Laura I knew before, but you two I met, and Kiki, I want you to tell us about Melanated Multilinguals, the channel that you run on Facebook.
Oh, you mean the group? Oh
yeah.
It was originally Black Bilingual. I started in like 2017, and it was just I wanted to create a space for Black people who were interested in different languages, because the polyglot or multilingual sphere is kind of dominated by like white men, and there's just so many Black people of African descent, people from the Dutch Caribbeans that speak different languages, especially Africans. Africans speak. The average African speaks at least 2, but sometimes somewhere between like 3 to 5 different languages. So I thought it'd be a nice group to kind of gather Black people around the world, and maybe like certain Africans might teach Black Americans some African languages, maybe some Yoruba, Igbo, Mandinka, Wolof, what have you. But I'm really surprised that it grew to be what it is now. It's not a lot, but it's like what 1.6, not million, like, but
that's okay. Put it in the universe.
Yeah, 1.6 million. But I'm surprised it even grew this big, because I was like, before it was just a few people, and I was mostly the person posting in the group, and then it just kind of blew up. Quarantine happened, and everybody was bored, and they was like, what is this? And they just started, like, more people just started joining. I was like, wow, okay.
So wait a minute, hold on, pause. Andre, why are you over there and not up here with us? Check your WhatsApp, Andre. Check your WhatsApp.
As if jails in the States are not bad. They're bad. They are, but I wouldn't say they're not. Jail is jail. Maybe Sweden prisons sound better, but they make it sound like Sweden is like a safe haven. I don't know, but
I don't think any place that has bars is a good thing.
Yeah, you're a caged animal.
I want everybody who's watching this that qualifies and wants to learn another language or speaks another language, more importantly, to go in there. And I really want to go into what that means. I do a lot of talking about the languages that we learn, but I want to talk about how language interacts with our lives. But before I do that, let's do 2 things. Let's say, hey, there's Shlomo. Good evening, my friend. Good evening, my friend.
Shlomo,
and he speaks a couple of different languages. So if you want to join us, send me a message on WhatsApp. Let me know if you want to come in. Good evening, Shyla. So here's where I want to say, you know who inspired me to do this? You know, somebody who I am the best B- student in the world. I'm consistent B-, but I can't say I'm an A+ student because Tanika is an A+ student.
No, I'm not.
Let me tell you, tell me about your 30-day challenge.
30-day
Tell me about the 30-day challenge
challenge.
that you've been killing.
I really just decided to jump all the way out of my comfort zone with that and just dive in. Like I still consider myself to be a beginner on my language learning journey, although I've been like in and out of learning Spanish for some years, but really decided to like hone in and dedicate myself while we were in quarantine. Like what better time to really dive in and can be focused. So the 30-day challenge was just an extension of that for me. And being able to do so in the group that Kiki has created has actually been a little bit overwhelming to me, to be quite honest, because of the outpouring that I didn't think that I would get just posting a video of myself answering a question, you know, in Spanish. And people have been really supportive, and I really appreciate that.
Hey, you know what? I think that for people, like, I forget that I'm in Brazil learning Portuguese, which isn't all it's cracked up to be, because while I'm learning, people know I'm an advocate of the Pimsleur method, but then I'll have friends and they all want to give me 15 different versions of how I could have said that. And I'm like, slow down. Okay? Slow down. I'm here to learn how to say it the right way. I'll figure out the cool way to say it another day. I'm not even cool in English. So why are you like I should be cool in another language? I don't know, but that's neither here nor there. But I wanted to say to you, I just think it's admirable, because every day you put your video up, 30 days of language. I'm getting you. You're just going to make it a point every day to put that video up of you speaking in. Now, how many languages are you learning?
Just one right now.
Okay. I'm like you. I have friends that can learn 2, 3, 4 at a time. I can't. I'm not that guy.
Right. I don't want to overwhelm myself either.
Well, what I wanted to really get into is when we look at the languages that, let's do this first before we get into it, just to be clear. I myself am learning Brazilian Portuguese. I would consider myself, let's see, I am what they call a false beginner, meaning I could speak a few words here and there, but then I started to train formally, and I started training at a university. Then COVID hit, and then I had to go back and go, wait a minute, what are the other options that I have? And people were telling me about Pimsleur and how good it was. And for me, it's great because it doesn't focus on any reading or writing. It is from day one, you are talking. You get out there and start using languages in these lessons effectively. By the end of the first, they do it in 30-day blocks. And by the third one, you're supposed to be minimum A2 pre-intermediate. And I can tell you it works. Because right now, I'll say I'm A2 elementary with things I don't know, but I'm intermediate with things I do know. So if you talk to me about, for example, food, you talk to me about food, yes, I will go in there and order everything twice the right way. But if you say to me, hey, a buddy of mine, I came from the world of finance. He says, hey, did you read about the market? And I was like, I can't read that yet. And he was really, really angry at me for not being at that level. So, Tanika, you're Spanish. Now, what kind of Spanish?
Latin American Spanish.
Latin American Spanish, so that is below Mexico, right? We're talking Colombia, that area.
I believe Mexico. Oh, no, that's Caribbean Spanish. That would be including Mexico, correct?
Yeah.
So I would say a cross between those two things. A cross between those, then, yes.
Or rather, the only Spanish they separate is Spanish in Spain, right?
Yes.
Which is really different.
Or what I thought. I could be wrong, but yes, that's what I thought.
Laura, what languages are you learning? Have you learned? What are you fluent in? We talked about some things. Laura is silent.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I am learning Chinese, and I know enough Chinese to get myself in trouble because I can speak it all day. But if someone comes up and is like, "Hey, Laura," blah, 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 I'm just like,
Well, here's the thing. I've been out with Laura in China. I lived in China for a couple of years. She lived in China for a couple of years. I can tell you it's interesting because she speaks her basic or intermediate. What level are you in Chinese?
I am in that awful quagmire between a beginner and an intermediate, only because I prioritize other ways of learning, and we could get to that later if you want. But I prioritize different things, so I am not where I should be, but I am higher than I should be. If that
I don't know
makes
if
sense.
you just said anything, but
You still can't hear me?
no. What you just said is, you just said like I'm somewhere but nowhere. I don't even know how that works.
I am too high to be a beginner, but too low to be an intermediate. And in some places, I know more than I should. So
Okay, I think I understand that. I think
Sorry.
I understand. Well, here's the other thing that I want to know is what. Let's do this, Kiki. What languages do you speak?
English. No, I'm just joking. Spanish.
And
working on Portuguese, and I'm working on Arabic.
yeah, but you speak a little more than working on.
What do you mean?
I've
In
heard.
which languages? In which languages?
Quit! Don't play that game with us.
Oh no, I'm really not. You think I'm being funny or something?
Somebody is calling me on Facebook. Hold on. Andre, what do you...
He's ringing on all phones.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me say something to him. Andre, I emailed you the join link just like last time you were with us. It's in your email. I don't know. This is not new to him. He does this all the time. He has his own channel with his missus. I don't even know how this is not working for him. But you speak a couple of languages, what I call coffee level conversation. How many languages could you sit down with somebody, have a cup of coffee, and just talk about whatever?
It's mostly just Spanish, really just Spanish. It's because I'm inconsistent with it. Like I didn't even fully learn Spanish, to be honest, but I have a grasp on. I wouldn't even say I'm fluent in Spanish, but I was working on Spanish first and foremost. I took 3 years of high school, and then I kind of got into Portuguese because I'm kind of wishy-washy with languages. It's like, oh, I want to learn this too. I can't just stick to one. So I even learned a little bit of Swahili, but I kind of stopped that too. But with the Arabic, the videos you're seeing of me speaking Arabic, that was Fusha Arabic. That was classical Arabic, basically. And then right now I'm trying to learn Egyptian because people don't really speak classical Arabic. Like classical Arabic is more for news, and even some news use their dialects, like the Darija dialect, which is from Morocco, and Egyptian Arabic and all the other Gulf Arabics. There's so many dialects. That's why I kind of gave up on it, because my language partner is from Morocco, but I didn't want to learn Moroccan Arabic. It's a little too different. It has a lot of Berber in it, and a lot of other Arabic speakers don't like Moroccan Arabic, or they find it to be confusing. They're like, this has the Rif Berber dialect in it. It has the Amazigh dialect. Is just too different from all the other Arabics. But she knew Egyptian because Egyptian Arabic is really popular. You said who?
No, what I was going to say was this. If you were learning, right now you're learning you said the classic, the modern language, right?
Egyptian Arabic.
Because this is where I go with languages, and I tell people this all the time. I have a theory on languages. It's the big language or small language. If you want to learn a giant language that talks to a lot of people, learn Chinese, learn Spanish, or if you want a very specific language, it's going to get you into how would I put it, a niche almost of people who speak it very well, but aren't necessarily, it's not necessarily a huge language that everybody speaks. That's where Portuguese is. Portuguese is one of those weird languages that I know so many people, and this is not a shots fired, that wanted to learn Portuguese to come to Brazil, but they're like, I also want to learn Spanish because I can go more places with it. And this is what I tell people. Good evening, John. This is what I tell people. Learn the language that you want to learn. I don't care if it's a tiny language spoken on an island off the coast of so-and-so, because you'll actually learn it. How many people call you and say, hey, what language should I learn? I don't know. What do you want to do?
It's overwhelming. It can, seriously, I don't know why, but it feels like a big choice because it's like a responsibility. Like once you decide, I'm going to learn this language, you have to stick with it. and learn and take notes.
If I may,
echo. Are you echoing? Turn off any other stuff you got playing, James.
The TV, I think, the radio.
Oh, it's you. It's
Oh, it's your video.
Yeah. So here's where we are. I tell people all the time, learn the language that suits your life needs. If you're someone who says, I've always wanted to learn flamenco dancing, what language do they speak in that country? And learn it. If you're someone who says, I've got this business model that I know is going to be big in India, India's a hot mess though. How many languages do they speak in India?
Oh
as
my
much
goodness.
as they have people.
Dialects in different regions, and then I think there's like the formal Indian, like the people who are in the higher end of the caste system, and then the people who are in the lower end of the caste system. I think they speak a different kind of Indian. Oh my goodness gracious, I could never.
It's Tamil, it's the Punjabi, it's Hindi.
I
think
all
it's 2,000 languages. I think they speak 2,000 languages. What is it? Is it India or maybe it's Asia in general? Sorry, but yeah, they speak a lot. There's so many different dialects in India.
Look at that.
Official languages? 23 official languages. No.
Yeah.
That's too many.
Think about that.
I can't even.
I got a buddy.
Punjabi, Tamil, Sanskrit.
All right.
I got a buddy who's a Bengali, and he told me something interesting. He said, "Did you know that when India got really screwed over by whites, Europeans, English during colonialism, it's what fractured a lot of things. It's what caused them to be able to not unite. And the tragedy of it is this. Do you know what the language that unites India is? English. He said, we are forced to speak English as the only language that we can communicate across borders.
Oh, that's terrible.
I think about that with African.
You don't know the pain it causes of knowing the only reason you're speaking English because the people who came in, like he told me something, I don't know if this is true, if anybody in the comments wants to fact check me. He said the jewels in the crowns, the English crowns jewels came from India.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it.
Right.
India and Brazil, Latin America are well known for all of their natural resources and all of the minings. In fact, here in Brazil, as I live in another part of São Paulo, different from where Yusef is living, and it's there's a state called Minas Gerais, and Minas literally means the mines. When the Portuguese came, they actually had a lot of the slaves do a lot of mining in there, and so it's kind of interesting. You get general mines from Minas Gerais.
That's brutal. That's sad.
Yeah. So, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, it's one for the history books at this point. But at some point, if we continue to come here to Latin America, I believe this. I don't necessarily push this down everybody's throat, but if we come to Latin America as Americans or as foreigners, and we bring our foreign currency, we build up the currency here. We help them in their economy and their system, and we take away from the economy in the U.S. or in Europe or whatever like that. And so we're kind of directly influencing how things play out and how things go here in Latin America.
Well, we could have the discussion of, are we just colonialists only with better mustaches?
Wait a minute, I wax my mustache.
Nobody's on your level of epic. Nobody is on your level of epic, Yusef. Nobody.
But let's do this. What made you guys start learning the language that you learned first, and how did it change your life? Because I'll testify first. One of the things that I learned is that once I started learning Portuguese past the basic hello level, it didn't matter that I wasn't good at it. When people said, oh, you're trying, let me help you. Let me go ahead and get you that rest of the sentence to tell you how to say it. Yeah. There were a couple of things that I was saying, and one of my buddies, we were at a restaurant once, and I'm not going to be vulgar about it, but I was at a restaurant and I didn't order some bread. And if anybody speaks Portuguese, they'll know that if you don't order bread, you might get punched in the face if you're lucky. Otherwise, you don't get the wrong kind of attention.
Yeah, you definitely get some dirty looks. You definitely get some dirty looks.
You definitely get some dirty looks. So let's do it this way, Kiki. What was the first language you started into, and how, did it change anything for you?
Oh, wow.
By the way, I just wanted to say hello to Living a God-Filled Life, and I wanted to say a couple of people asked me to boot you, and I said I'm not. What I'm going to do is say this is not necessarily a place for proselytizing religion, and I say that as just a pure atheist and heathen. You're still welcome here, but let's keep it the conversation with that hand.
I think it just opened my eyes to the world around me, and just, you know, because I just talk to like a lot of people online. I have a lot of partners, and I have a better understanding of how other people live, especially with my group. I just interact with like different Black people around the world. Like, it gave me a chance to get to know like Afro-Colombians. Like, I talked to a lot of Afro-Colombians and learned about the history of like Bancos Viejo, you know, the African who was enslaved, and he created a maroon society. And just learning that history, which is really interesting, and just learn about how they live and the culture, and how a lot of Latin American culture is really African culture, is Yoruba culture, is
true.
Different. Is I don't know which exact tribe, but it has a lot of Congolese traditions and dances. Also, it depends on where you go, but obviously, like Cuba and Brazil has a, you know, Brazil has candomblé, and then they also have macumba, but I think macumba is different, something different. And then in Santeria, and
let me jump in on that. Macumba is the Portuguese word for Brazilian black magic. So there's a heavy negative connotation for that. So people will say like macumba, meaning like, oh my God, it's like super witchcraft, and like, you know, hey, no, I don't want to get involved in that. And like, it's exactly, because it's the Brazilian version of what is that echo? Who's echoing?
That was me.
Somebody
that was me. I was watching you guys, so therefore, now that I'm in, it was echoing. So, hey everybody.
Okay. Hey, what's up? So what I was saying is, so macumba is the Portuguese word for Brazilian black magic. Actually, what the Brazilians, in my understanding, as I've been here for almost 3 years now, a little less than Yusef, but I speak Portuguese fluently. As Yusef is behind me and still learning. He's getting there, right there.
Yeah. Well, he has the advantage. I live in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and my business is almost all in English. And in Sao Paulo, I still struggle with people who I will go into a business to do something, and I'll start speaking to them in Portuguese, and they go, no, wait. And they'll like, go get their friend who speaks English. And I'm like, no, you follow Portuguese. And they're like, no, where to get my friend who speaks English? It's okay. And I'm like, no, I don't want you to be okay. I don't want it to be okay. Let me do this.
Yeah, it happens. Well, anyway, so as I was saying, is that there's Brazilians that don't use that. They tend to stay away from what the word macumba. That is very, very negative. It's a negative stereotype and connotation. So they generally tend to say like just the actual words. They'll say like candomblé, or they'll say this or that, or some people will refer to it as African religions. They'll say like, oh, I'm a part of the African religion. They won't say I'm a part of macumba. You know what I mean? That's how I was just trying to give you a tip there.
I heard it was something else, because this guy, he was Colombian though. He said his grandparents practiced macumba, like it was a different religion, like voodoo and hoodoo.
It's not an actual voodoo. Is it's the European way of referring to the practice of African religions. There is no actual like voodoo, because they say like, oh, he's hocus pocus voodooing me and all that, and there's no actual voodoo. I'm gonna put voodoo on you. No, you can't be. You can't practice. No, nobody practices voodoo. People practice witchcraft. What?
They call it Vadun. The Fon people practice it in Benin.
Okay.
Interesting that we see words that have the same meaning but not the same definition, or the same definition but not the same meaning, and it's all contextual on where you live, what that word actually means.
Yeah, it can be.
African words are changed in America, like, or I guess when it's translated to English, like these are like Mansa Musa is called Kankamusa, something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
People's tongues get lazy when they translate things.
Even in Colombia, you have a lot of words that are of African Spanish descent. So even though you have a lot of Colombians that have that speak Spanish, you have a huge pool of the Afro-Colombian diaspora that still holds true to a lot of their African heritage. So a lot of the words, a lot of the slang, you have, especially in Cartagena area, a lot of the words that they use are of African descent. That's a blend of Spanish. You would hear more African in when they communicate than you would hear Spanish. You would hear Spanish just pop up every once in a while, but yet you would hear a lot of African, because a lot of Africans from the Congo are in Cartagena area, so they still hold true. The one thing that Colombian slavery didn't do that they did in the United States, the United States beat out or tried to beat out our heritage of our African descent and what made us African. Well, Colombians embraced that and made it a part of the culture of Colombia. So they say, hey, y'all know foods, we'll embrace that. Y'all know recipes, y'all know how to cook, you know how to bring, you have different things to bring to the table. So they didn't beat it out of them. So it's a lot easier for African Colombians to still hold to their religions, still hold on to their cultures, their clothing, the way that they speak, but yet put a undertone of Spanish with it. I noticed that a lot in the African Colombian community. You go to the African Colombian community, and their Spanish is completely different from the natural Spanish that most people know are known as Spanish for.
Yeah, they also have maroons though. Laura,
okay, so Lillian is correcting me. She said Candomblé is a religion and Macumba is a ritual. Okay, well, she knows better than me as the Afro-Brasileira. So
wait, you just got something interesting. Hold on. My cousin El Malik, he said, I'm Macumba. Malik, we have to talk about this. I had no idea. I didn't even know what the word means, but I'd love to talk to you about what the word even means.
Yeah.
And love you too, cousin. Love you too. I'm gonna give you a call soon. We gotta catch up. But yeah, that's interesting. He said, I'm Macumba.
See, I threw that out there, and now you know, Yusef.
Right.
You would have never known.
That's the one thing that I love about learning about languages now, is that once you start to learn the language, you are forced to learn the etymology or the history of that language. By learning the history of that language, you start to learn the history of the culture of that language, that people, that religion. And that's one of the things that makes learning languages, especially for us Americans, so exciting. You get a chance you're forced to learn these things. You're not just learning a language, you're actually learning a whole culture.
Well, here, let me ask a question, since you were talking about the African Spanish molding of languages. Because I know when a lot of people talk about African language, they kind of generalize it because we're so used to using it as a country instead of a continent. And you were talking about finding the path that language takes. By any chance, do you know like what specific area or what specific language of African languages it's taking from, what it can use from, or is it just a melding pot of all of it?
Actually, no problem at all. As I mentioned before, most of the languages that are used, that are broken here in Colombia, especially in the Cartagena area, is individuals from the Congo. They were brought in from the Congo. Most people don't realize this, that Cartagena was actually considered the New York City stock exchange of the slave trade. When the slave ships came in, they mainly came into Cartagena and were dispersed to Brazil, dispersed to Cuba, the Caribbeans. Most
really? I didn't know that. No, I thought they left Africa and came straight to Salvador. I thought they went straight to Salvador after Africa.
Cartagena. That's why Cartagena actually had those. When you go to Cartagena, the first thing that's there are the guns and the forts and all that to protect Cartagena from raids that were coming to try to steal their stock. It was considered where you would come to negotiate to get a lot of your boats in bulks. Now, I'm not saying that Cartagena was the only place where the ships were docked. I'm not saying that, because we all know that ships docked in Brazil mainly. They docked in the islands, the Caribbeans. They docked in Cuba. So, but only most people don't know, only 4% of the slaves even made it to the States. Just 4%. So now we have 96% of our own history that now we have passports. We have had the ability to take the time out to learn. And that's why I'm able to say that those individuals in Cartagena, they were learned, because I had to learn it, that they are from the Congo area. And that's why they blend Spanish and the language that they had at that time period in the Congo. And that's why it's a melting pot over there. And outside of Cartagena is a city. I forget the title of it because I'm going to go visit it. Andre and I are going to go visit it. It is the first freed slave city in all Americas. It's the first one where the slaves actually said, "This is our town, our city." And when you go there, they actually have a wall where throughout the last, I think, 20 or 40 years, they've actually been writing on the wall words. So when you come to this city, you actually go to a wall, you learn the word friend, you learn the word mother, you learn the word neighbor. So when you're walking through the neighborhoods, you know these words already, and most of these words of African descent.
It's a living Rosetta Stone.
Yeah, it literally is. And they continue to add words on. Year in, year out, they add new words onto this wall. You just go to this big wall, and it's nothing but African terms that they use every day. But for foreigners like us that are visiting, because a lot of individuals are going there because they know it's the first town of freed slaves in the Americas, the tourism has boomed in this little small town. And now a lot of us are going to learn this language off of this wall.
That's amazing.
Right.
We have our own praying wall.
Please find out the name. I want to know.
Yes.
Can you get me on that and we can come on and talk about it?
Yeah. I actually talked to the tour. We were actually going to go right before, because we're still in quarantine. We've been quarantined since the 24th. It hasn't stopped at all. And we were just getting everything set up. We just had the tour guide set up that lives there, and they shut everything down. So we've been waiting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Because of a couple of things. He said Carthaginian society was composed of an eclectic mix of native citizens, North Africans, Etruscans, Iberians, and Greeks who were variously artisans, laborers, and soldiers. And then he made it a point to say, and slaves. But one of the things that he said, something I want to touch on with you guys, he said, and I've learned Mexicans treat Black people differently when they know the language as opposed to not knowing it. I tell people that's actually not a Black thing. When you actually learn someone's language and show them the respect that I'm coming to your country and I'm not going to try and just be some jerk, and make sure you speak my language, you'd be amazed how many dinners you get invited to. How many guys say, "Hey, listen, my gym is down the street. You want me to introduce you?" That kind of stuff.
Yeah. I went to Cancun for 3 weeks back in, 2016. And just for the fact that, I can't really speak Spanish. I can understand Spanish, but I can't speak it. I have no problem understanding when they speak it. Boom, 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 boom. I'm right with it. Like speaking it, I get too confused with Portuguese. But it's exactly right what Yusef got invited to dinners. I got people who were telling me like all this like stuff, and they were like, "Man, like it's so cool. You're from the States, but you can speak with us. You can understand us and all that." And like, man, they show mad love. They show mad love. As long as you're not like one of those like stuck up assholes, you know what I mean? Like you can actually like get on their level of communication, and you don't think of yourself as like, well, I'm American, so ha 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 ha. Like they treat you like for real. Like, and I've seen it. I've seen the guy who shows up and he's like, "Man, speak Spanish for what? I'm American. I speak English." And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to speak their language with them. And they were like, "Hey, you can pay the full fare hey man, come with us. We got you in for free. I'm like, hey, I'm good. That's what's up. I'm good. And
I would love to go to a place like that.
Dude. They overcharged, dude. It was Cancun, Mexico.
Ah.
I had a similar experience in Cancun.
Like hell.
Wow.
We're
actually planning on. We want to go in September. We're going to take our moms in September, but we decided to go to Tulum because we heard so many good things about the smaller town of Tulum compared to the tourist trap of Cancun.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this.
The place I went to Cancun was like the hood. Tulum is way better. Way better. I had no idea.
Brother Andre, you kept saying we, and I want to share something with folks because I want everybody to, I always say YouTube is a place where everybody can be friends. It's not like you can watch his channel but not mine. It's his channel. I want everybody. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put it in the comment section, and I want everybody to make it a point to subscribe there. They talk about a lot of interesting stuff. But I tell everybody the same thing. When you go to my friend's YouTube channel, give them a month. If they don't say anything interesting to you, that's okay. Just unsubscribe. But anybody who watches me knows that I don't really bring a whole lot of nonsense on the game. I try to bring in people who have some legitimately interesting, good things to say.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And for those who are watching, just like the resident field general, superstar, awesome dude, DK from the Rockies said, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and or comment because that's how this page keeps going. This is why I get to meet people who have been around the world and talk to you about a lot of different things because here we talk about three things. We talk about international issues like language, travel, not just where I live in Brazil, but in all the countries that we're in now. I talk a lot about money because money is my favorite subject. Money is a great slave. I talk about investments, securities. I talk about avoiding debt, money traps, things like that. But I also talk quite a bit about social issues. And some of you have seen some of the more in-depth conversations that we've had. And you're all welcome to that as well.
One of the things I found the name of the town is called Palenque, and it's actually spelled Palenque, Palenque. And right now they have over 3,500 inhabitants, and they escaped slavery 400 years ago. They were the first actual slave that was like, we're dealing with this, and they actually found their own town. And I'm so excited about going to that location. Yeah, that's it.
That's amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah, awesome.
What about Haiti? What about Haiti and Jamaica? Weren't they?
Now remember, we're talking about a town. We're talking about the first free town. Not region or country.
Where?
Okay. That's right outside of Cartagena. That's in Colombia.
In Colombia. Okay, yeah. I thought it was San Basilio de Palenque.
Man, I got to get to Colombia.
Yeah, that's the place. San Basilio de Palenque.
I recognize some of those statues and landmarks. Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah. I did a video on that. But in Spanish.
You did a video on that city?
I did a video, it's janky, but on all the different slave revolts and in the Americas, like I think I just didn't do Haiti, but I did one on Bangos Viejo, who founded San Basilio de Palenque. And I did one on Busa of Barbados, Bayano of Panama, Nat Turner, Queen Nanny of Jamaica, all the Maroons, basically, slave revolt leaders.
Wow.
Let me ask a question, because you keep on saying maroons, and I keep on thinking of the color and macaroons because I might be hungry. What are maroons?
They're basically slaves who basically created a space in the Americas for themselves. Like, basically, they fought against slavery, and just like in Jamaica, they moved into the Blue Mountains and just created their own little land. Basically, saying you can't come here. It's weird. It's more complex than that.
These are almost like where they get the term, like you marooned on an island, off to yourself, off to your.
Whoa! Is that really the etymology of that phrase, marooned on an island? I wonder if
it sounds like that's where we come from, to be separated, to be away from, because that's where the term maroon comes from, to be separated by yourself or with a small group on an island.
Okay.
Wow. That actually makes sense.
So I guess
You really have to. It's a shame you can't really learn about this unless you really want to learn about this. But our past is so heinous and so painful that many people don't want to learn about it.
That's
you really
true.
have to dig deep to learn about our.
As you were saying, Laura, I don't think it's that many people don't want to know. It's just that we don't know. Just think about prior to pre-passport life. And pre-passport life, I didn't know there were even such thing as Afro-Colombians, Afro-Peruvians. I didn't know there was such thing as, I didn't think about Zimbabwe. I didn't think about Zaire. I didn't, you didn't think about how many languages were in India. All these things came post-passport. So I give, a little grain of salt of leniency to the brothers and sisters that are still back home that just don't know. I never imagined seeing, I live in Cali, Colombia, and it's considered the Atlanta of Colombia because the percentage of outside of Cartagena or Chocó, you have, or Santa Marta or Barranquilla, you have a humongous Afro-Colombian population here that are thriving and doing great in business. And so you don't know that these individuals exist, and to live a post-passport life, Laura, such as individuals such as yourself, we kind of like take it for granted. Like, why learning is always every day from the time period we wake up, it's always something to learn. We're all on learning mode to where
I've never left the United States.
Yeah,
No,
you'll never see me.
You know what? I have been, and I'm glad she's here with us now because I have been straight up peer pressuring Kiki, this amazing woman who has languages, she has education. I'm like, why are you staying there? You owe America nothing. Get out.
Yeah.
And I told her, I'm gonna play the same.
You know what? I can see why for family, for friends, and that camaraderie ship. I lived in Florida. Most of my family was up north, so it was easy for me to make the transition. But as far as the states itself, there is no way in the world I could live in the States. I'll make my stateside money. I have my stateside passport, and there's no way in the world I could do the States ever. No. I'll visit. I'll show Andrea around. Andrea doesn't even want to live there. She's one of the Colombians that's like, I don't want to live in your country. As hard as y'all work, They got think about it. They had 3 holidays in a row this past month. 3 holidays in which they had 3 days off.
Like Brazil.
Live in your country.
Well, check this out. Kiki, I'm gonna tell everybody, I'm gonna play the same trick on Kiki that I play on everybody. I'm gonna say, look, you're out of your life. Spend 6 months in 2 different countries where English is not the primary language. Then, if you say, you know what, this whole international thing isn't for me, I'll never harass you about it again. But the trick is, you'll go and you'll realize, oh, this is what they're talking about.
Yep.
Go to Colombia and speak Spanish for 6 months. Then come hang out with me and for 6 months in Brazil. And then I'll help you pack your stuff when you like, you know what, I gotta say, this year brought it. It won't.
So wait, Kiki, you've never lived outside of the United States?
Girl.
No. People think I do because they're like, you know so much stuff, but you never
baby, come. Oh,
you said you've not traveled either? You've not traveled?
You gotta get out the States. Yeah. You gotta get out the States, Kiki.
A travel leader. What'd you say?
Is it not
I said you haven't traveled?
I've never.
You haven't been out of the States, period.
Where do you want to go?
No.
Where would you want to go?
I don't know. Maybe Colombia, somewhere in Colombia, because I know.
Because now we're all going to pressure you. You need to get out. out.
Yeah. Okay,
it's like that movie. It's like the movie. Get out. Get out.
Get out.
They're coming for you.
The thing is, most people say about Colombia, though.
They're coming for you. Get out.
They say this
you're
about
Colombia. You're educated. Yes, they're coming for you.
We had a request in the comment section. I'm gonna leave this one to dear sister Tanika. You got anything you want to share with the team in Spanish about your experience?
Oh my God! Why would you do that to me?
Yes.
I'm gonna give an introduction, and then that's it. Okay. Soy Tanika. Estoy aprendiendo español porque me encanta el idioma, la cultura.
Muy bien, muy bien.
Aprecio a todos ayudar. That's it.
Okay,
So,
well, you know what?
English.
Legal.
Hey, look
Say
up.
again?
James, give us some of your language skills that are not Spanish or Latin based.
Who?
Okay, Hebrew. I'll jump right over to Hebrew then.
There we go.
Shalom, Hashem Shali James. Oh my goodness, my Hebrew is so rusty. Now I'm trying to remember it at the moment. Okay, let's see here. I froze, but yeah, that was a hello. My name is James. That's what you get for now in Hebrew, not Spanish or Portuguese based.
Pass. Skip.
Laura, give it to him in Chinese.
Okay, Yusef.
你好，我是劳拉，我的名字是罗拉，我是音乐老师，和我是很开心啊，呀，
你好吗？你好吗？
你好，我的朋友啊。
But you know what's interesting is something I read is that you're actually when I say you, I mean all of us. You're a different person when you speak a different language.
True.
True.
Like my friend has told me that I'm way nicer in Portuguese. I'm like, Portuguese is my second language, and I never want to I can be a nuanced asshole in English because I'm good with my words. I'm a writer. I understand the words I'm using. But in somebody else's language, I don't want to be I'm not in a position where I want to accidentally piss them. Even when they're wrong, I'm trying to be calm because I need to be careful that the insult I use isn't overkill or underkill, or you say the wrong thing and in the wrong context, everybody takes their lunch and just moves to another table. So you have to be. I'm like, desculpa, eu preciso muito praticar o meu português. Então, eu moro no Bexiga, em área Bexiga. Você, and I have to ask him, do you have any idea where this is? Because I'm kind of. But when Laura speaks Chinese, she becomes like this Chinese girl.
Yeah, she did.
It's a mix of Chinese and Japanese.
Yeah,
but I understood everything. I understood what you said. Very good. Your Chinese is very good, Laura.
Actually, thank you, because when you were talking about how in the Latin countries in Brazil and whatnot, they help you. They want you to learn. In China, it's completely different. All the times I tried to learn Chinese, and I would come up and I would ask them questions. They were like, no. Like you said at the bank, no. We have someone to speak English. Like, no. I want to. Damn it, I'm an English teacher. Come on, baby, practice your English. Come on.
Right.
And then they just don't want to engage with you. Because can I tell a story? I love telling stories. I want to tell a story. Yay, story time. Okay. So when I live in Texas, so there's a lot of Hispanic, Latin American, Mexican, lots of people here. And one of my friends was like, oh, my grandma doesn't speak any English. How long has your grandma been here? Oh, 20 years. Why doesn't she speak English? And she's been here 20 years. So when I went to a different country, I always knew that I wanted to learn the language because that's just rude as hell. Going to another country and expecting them to learn your language. No, I'm in your country. I need to learn your stuff. So 6 months before I went to China, I was like, yes, I'm going to learn Chinese. I'm going to be great. Yeah. So I learned. I learned. I did different apps. I did different this, that, and the other. And when I got to China, I was like, yeah, ni hao, bitches. And they were like,
right.
Ting dong. I'll try this again.
You know what?
Ni hao.
Here's something that is hard to talk about a lot of times. I am with Laura in that I decided that I would go, because for those who don't know, I'm a permanent resident in Brazil. I have a passport eventually, but I live here. Like, I can come and go as I please. But my whole thing was this. I also grew up watching people immigrate to the United States and then choose to not learn the language. And I'm thinking, that's kind of asshole 101. Like, how do you come to someone's country, say, I want to be part of your country. Cool, we're going to let you in, pull up a chair, eat. But I don't want to learn the language. Really? And I'm not talking about grandmothers. Maybe it's a hard ask for somebody's 75-year-old grandmother to learn how to speak another language. Maybe that's a lot for her to do. You know, we don't know. But I see guys that are 30 that have been in the United States for 5-10 years who can't speak English, and I'm thinking, that's not okay.
They learn American entitlement first.
That's one of the things that that's one of the things that I promised myself. I've been here for 2 years, and now it's time for me to really buckle down on my studies of Espanol. Estudiando Español poquito, but not grande. And so therefore, I told myself that a part of the culture, plus my in-laws, you know, in Latin culture, you are part of the unit. You are part of the amoeba. You're not separated together. And so, like when we get done with this live stream, we're going over to her families to do some hanging out again. It was always family, you know, a lot of salsa. It's Cali, and so the capital salsa music. And so, my point in saying that is that I don't think that a lot of people are told they come to America for the American dream, but nobody tells them about the value, the economic value of learning another language. Me being a businessman, I realize also not just the social or the historical ramifications or just the family ramifications of learning another language, but the economic abilities to be bilingual, even in the States, it brings in a lot more than just knowing one language. So I look at it from that perspective. Plus, I'm also a philanthropist. I've always been giving to the States. I've always been part of nonprofit programs, grassroots politics. I've always been involved in that. I want to do that again while I'm in Colombia for the Afro-Colombian population. Well, you can't do that only knowing English, Andre. So in order for me to give, that's right. That's the face I'm making right there. That's the look I'm making right there.
Amari Hardwick make the craziest.
But now for people who don't know the joke, there is a show called Power. I watched like the first couple seasons.
I watched it all.
But here is the twist of the show. This guy, and I'm not going to give away the plot for anybody who doesn't watch it, but the plot twist is part of it, not the big part. He actually speaks Spanish fluently because his girlfriend in high school that he fell in love with was a Spanish speaker.
Puerto Rican. He's a white Puerto Rican.
Yeah. And so from there, he learned Spanish, but when he went into business situations, he was a very clear demonstration. It's not just that you can speak another language, it's that you can become part of another culture. So the people in the United States who only spoke English, there are phrases that we have and that the world has in other languages that represent ways of thinking that we don't have in our own language. And that was a really complicated sentence. So I'm going to give an example.
I got it.
Okay. In Brazilian Portuguese, there is a word called saudade. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, James, you understand this is complex magic we're dealing with, because if you decide to Google the phrase, it means I miss you, but it really doesn't.
It's much deeper than that.
Wait, you can actually have, and for people who want to watch Power, I left a link for it there. How do you, you can actually have saudade for something that you've never had. You can miss something that you've never actually possessed. The best way I can give it is there is a channel of retro music that plays these 80s synthwave. And anybody who's been around long enough, I'm 40, I'll be 43 next month. The 80s had those synthwaves, robot movies. Well, there are guys making that kind of music that weren't alive during that decade. And one guy labeled one of his mixes saudade because he misses the kind of music they had, but he wasn't even there to listen to it. And he actually makes this kind of music as if he was around during that time.
Wow. Oh, good point.
Yeah, it's true. No, it's true. It's a very good description. That's a good description to use it.
Can you give me another? Can you give
Saudades,
me another one?
Yes, saudades is when you as Yusef said, it means I miss you, but that's a very surface, very, very basic level. So getting into the deeper end of it, it means like you really, really have a deep longing, a deep connection. You want something with all of your might, all of your heart, all of your soul, all of your everything. Like, I miss this woman. I miss this man. I miss spaghetti and meatballs. Like, when I could just go to an Italian restaurant and I could get spaghetti and meatballs, I miss it. Like, and it's like with all of your being. It's such a deep, deep concept that you can't say it without it being like understood to be like this, like, whoa, like you were in love with this.
Right.
Zaya's China Club.
Hey, Yusef, two things real quick. I got to step out because I got stuff I got to do now. But how can you send me the link to this or some way to get in touch with these videos here? Because I got a couple people I want to send this to, and hopefully they'll check it out and maybe get in touch with you. Because I got a couple people I'm working on. I'm working on trying to get them to come down to South America, bro. I need your help.
I'm with you. So then this is what we'll do. We'll just make it a point to, I'm going to tag you, and we can just share it. I'll tag you in the video.
Send it to me in Messenger. Send it to me in Messenger, and I can send it to them that way. I'm trying to keep a low profile on Facebook, man. Like I said, I'm not trying to be like, on the spotlight again, man. I had my own show a long time ago, and it didn't really work out, and a lot of shit happened, and so anyway, I'm trying to keep a low profile.
How are we trying to keep a low profile
on a live stream?
Because if I'm not tagged in it, people don't know that I'm doing it. Anyway, so that's my timer right there. I gotta step out, man. But send me a link or something in the in Facebook Messenger.
Gotcha.
It's nice chatting with you.
Yeah, guys, it was great meeting you all, talking with you. Zaijian.
Ciao.
再见，朋友。
Adios.
Masalama.
And thanks for working your time. And what I was going to say to people is how we learn languages is I want everybody watching to realize none of this was magic. Like, we didn't do kind of crazy blah, blah, blah. What a lot of folks don't understand is that we just studied a little all the time.
I dedicated 8 hours every day for 9 months, 10 months during 2015 until 2016, 17, right around there. And that's how long it took me to become fluent in Portuguese.
Now, what did you study?
That's dedication.
What did you study? How did you study?
I studied by myself.
I'm a lazy.
I learned Hebrew at 5.
Hold on, you don't leave yet because I'm about to talk about you, but I don't want you to be gone, so I feel like a coward. Don't be like him. Don't be like him. Okay? Let me give you guys an example of one way to learn Portuguese so you're not in his situation. I did something like, I don't know if you're familiar, I did this video called In Brazil, Hustling Portuguese Backwards. I'm a big advocate of formal training in a good, correct environment. I use something called the Pimsleur method. Pimsleur became real famous because they don't focus on any writing, any reading. It is 100% a half an hour a day, but that's the trick. They tell you it's a half an hour a day. It's not. You listen to the same half an hour lesson more than once. And their claim to fame is each block is 30 days. After 90 days, you should be able to get off an airplane and speak fluently, low intermediate level, any place without getting lost and without having a problem. I know people that have done this in Chinese. I know people that have done this in Spanish. I do it in Portuguese. I can tell you it works. I'm not telling anybody to go out and do what he did, just grab a bunch of stuff and study it on your own for 8 hours a day. That's just painful. That's like learning how to be a professional fighter by getting in the ring and getting punched in the face all day.
It wasn't, Yusef. As I was about to say before you jumped in on me, was to say it was not painful because I had good motivation. At the time, I was dating a girl seriously, Oh, look. Dismiss all of that. Dismiss all of that crap talk. Look. It wasn't just because of the girl. It was also because of the fact that I knew in the future I was going to live in Brazil. I knew it was going to happen. So I said, okay, I'm going to get ready. I'm going to do this for myself because I'm deciding right now in 2015, I do not want to live in the United States anymore. And my deadline, my time frame is 2017, 2020. Between 2017 and 2020. I'm giving myself 3 years to figure it out between those times. And in 2018, I figured it out and I got out. So I've been here in Brazil since 2018. But the point is that I've learned Hebrew at 5. I started learning Hebrew at 5 years old. I completed my intermediate training by about 15, 16, but I haven't used it since then. So I'm super rusty. I went to Japan, lived in Japan for 3.5 years at 20. And so I was there until about 23, 24. I came back to the States and I learned Spanish. Spanish was another part of it. And so Japanese, Chinese, all of that. So I'm very lingual, and I've always been a lingual person. So for me, learning language is not a beating. It's not at all anything close to that. I love learning, and I will sit there and I will dedicate 8 hours a day to studying languages.
Well, that's a different motivation. I love it.
Right.
It's task-based motivation. And, every time you get a sentence correct, you get un beso here, un beso here, un beso here. That is a great motivation. Like, yes, I will learn. Yes.
I mean, but also the fact that I'm the first in my family to be able to say that I left the United States permanently and I live overseas. I speak another language, and I'm not the typical stay on your block, in the same neighborhood, the same state, the same city for your whole life. I'm not that person. So all of that, same address, like same phone number. You know what I mean? Like I know people that be like, I've had the same cell phone number for 25 years. And like, what's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? But 25 years, the same address. Like,
I was about to say something to you, Kiki. I ain't gonna lie. I was about to say, you hear this man's testimony? You hear this man's testimony.
I mean, but you got Kiki. You also got to figure out. What you want for your life. If you really decide the States is for you and that's where you want to be, then that's cool. But I and everybody else in this panel here will personally tell you the States is not for you, sister. Get the heck out.
You are so beyond the States. And that knowledge that you're gathering, I promise you, it is not for stateside. There's a plan behind it. The universe has a plan for all that you're gathering. It's not a coincidence. You are.
We'll get the preach it now, boy.
Exactly.
Not a coincidence.
James got to run. Someone let him. We'll talk again soon. Kiki, I hope all is getting through to you. Let me do this.
You make more money, sister. You will make more money overseas than you do in the States. Think about that. Yusef actually made a video about that, about teaching you. Okay. You guys get it. Anyway, Yusef made a video about that. Go check that video out.
Internet took him out.
Yeah, my internet.
Somebody did not time for you.
Sorry.
Yeah, right. I'm telling you. But that's it. Go check out that video. All right.
All right.
LK says I'm subscribing to Pimsleur today.
Really?
Well, here's what I'm going to tell everybody watching. And this is important.
All right, bye. I'm going. See you.
Bye.
Ciao. Bye.
Anybody who is watching this channel right now that wants access to my Pimsleur account, email me. Okay? I'm going to let everybody watching, I can say to you, I can give you access to my Pimsleur account. That's my email address. Email me. Pimsleur does all languages. I can tell you it works, but I'll give you access to my account if you really you want it like that. It's amazing to be able to just go to another country and say, it's not even, once you start using the language, like when I go to the restaurant or something like that, it's not sexy, it's not fun, it's just the ability to be able to talk to people like I'm talking to you.
Right.
And what keeps pushing me is my friends in Brazil are like my friends in the United States. We tend to want to talk about those hard political issues, those hard fact issues. So it's always pushing me to listen to more and more people about how to learn that language. You know, so I've got a couple podcasts I listen to, a couple of YouTube channels that are not for learning Portuguese. They're people who speak Portuguese, and I'm just constantly just struggling. Just what do you say? And I have to rewind it. For the record, anybody who doesn't know, you can go under settings on your YouTube, click speed or velocidade, click it down to 0.9, and everyone speaks slower. But still,
they actually, Yusef, they actually have Spanish songs that are popular songs that we know that they actually start off really despacito, and it starts off real slow. And by the time you get to the end of the song, you know the song. You actually go along with the song. But there are several songs on YouTube that you can just look for a slow Spanish song, and they actually on purpose.
I don't like learning languages with music though, because music is an art, and art can be interpreted however you want it to. I like to learn.
They mispronounce the words.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not gonna learn correct speaking through music.
Or no doubt. I would not learn Spanish through reggaeton. So no.
But the thing is, with learning any language, it depends on who you are as a person. It depends, like as a teacher, there are different children, there are different ways of learning. So if a person learns by sitting down 8 hours a day doing it, cool. If a person learns going to a different country, cool. If a person learns doing music and watching telenovelas and stuff like that, that's the problem with people learning a different language. They think they all have to open a book, sit down and study. And that turns a lot of people off because that's not how they learn. That's the problem with the school system. That's not how they learn.
But
you have to figure out what's... No, I'm just saying for people who want to learn, you have to find out the way you learn. And that's the way that's going to propel you to learn even more.
Like I like listening to music as a way to train my ear to like the speed of which the Spanish is spoken.
I do. Now that I do that. You're absolutely correct. The music lets me get used to the pronunciation, the enunciation. So when I hear it in regular conversation, it doesn't sound like they're talking fast to me because I'm already used to how they're talking because I heard it through music. So I may not use music for the words or the terms, but just like sister just said, I use it just so I can just become comfortable with the flow of the dialect of how Spanish is in its natural state. And so when I'm at the grocery store, I'm not looking at them like he's talking so fast. I don't feel like that anymore.
Well, watch this. I'm going to give you guys, and if anybody has something they want to share as well, I'm going to give everybody one of the podcasts that let's see. There. I'm going to give everybody an example of one of the podcasts I listen to. You can listen to it online or you can listen to it on the phone. A Nossa Língua de Todo Dia, Pasquale Cipro Neto. I showed this to one of my friends and they said, he's still teaching? Apparently he's been on for a long time and all he does is about language. He has a podcast, you can put it on your phone, you can listen there. 10 minutes of discussing a grammar point in Portuguese. That's right up my alley.
Wow.
That's like for Spanish. I was recently turned on to something called language transfer, which the lessons are between 5 to 8 minutes long. And it's kind of that same premise. Like it teaches you grammar, which I really like that because I think I am diagnosing myself with adult ADHD. Like I can't for extended periods of time. Like give me 15 to 30 minute spurts of time and that is enough for me. And then I can come back a little bit later.
Yeah.
So you said about language transfer, right? So why don't we do this? We'll put it here. Tell us about how it works.
They do have different languages in there, but I think I spoke to you about this and you told me they don't have Portuguese there as of yet, maybe, but I use it for Spanish because that's what I'm learning, but they do have a lot of languages in there. And it's almost like a podcast almost, but it just goes through the lessons. And I think it may be 30 or 40 lessons within one module, if I'm not mistaken.
Language transfer.
Yeah, I'm about to download that one.
Ooh.
So let's say free courses. Because I did email them. I said, hey, you don't have Portuguese. They said, nope, it's coming. But they got French, Swahili, Italian, Greek, German, Turkish, Arabic, Spanish, English para, Espanol hablantes, and other material. So, if that's how you've been getting it done, I'm definitely going to put that up there. Who else has some resources to share?
All right.
Santa Diablo.
Yeah, I do there's a YouTuber called Butterfly Spanish. She's very situational.
Wait,
Spanish.
say it again?
Butterfly Spanish. She's on YouTube. She's been around for a while. She's actually a Spanish teacher. And the reason why she is called Butterfly Spanish because she's so animated, so energetic. Kind of like, she reminds me of Laura with that type of energy, that positive energy, and like a butterfly. And so she teaches situations like you fall in love with somebody, you want to tell them that you're in love with them, or you're going out to dinner, or if you're at the airport. So she teaches situational Spanish. And that's her, Butterfly Spanish. She's in Mexico, but she is very thorough, very good. She breaks everything down. She'll start with the letters of the alphabet all the way through. Very good, very good.
Yeah, it's a guy.
Subscribers, she is in the game.
It's a guy named.
She is good. She's one of the foundations of which I started with when I was in the States. That made me a lot more comfortable for when I came to Colombia.
It's also a guy called Bilingue Blogs, or
the brother.
Bilingue. Yeah, he taught himself.
That brother is good.
Yeah, he taught himself Spanish and more specific Dominican Spanish because that's just the culture that he felt most connected to. But
yeah. Oh yeah, he's down in Miami. He says now in Miami I don't even walk around speaking English unless I have to. He said I speak Spanish so I can continue to practice and practice and practice. I love the fact that he not only learns Spanish, but he purposely now learns dialects. So he can speak so many different styles of Spanish. It's crazy to see this regular brother from Miami be able to speak all these dialects. So now he has a lot of entertainers on his show, on his channel now, because of his notoriety. Being in Miami, being in the right place, and then knowing how to speak all different forms of Spanish, and from Mexican to Colombian to Dominican. He's so good with his dialects that people couldn't even tell that he was not Spanish.
Wow.
Yeah, he's very good. But as for Andre, I got to get ready to go. I have a family event to go to, a lot of salsa to do. So.
Salsa and salsa.
Kiki, I'm telling you, my last words for the day is this. Kiki, they say this about Colombia. Do not come to Colombia first, because if you do, you will never want to leave. It is so. I'm so glad I traveled to other parts of the world first, because Colombia is one of the nicest. It has so much that you already have in the United States. You got IKEA, we got Home Center. You want McDonald's, we got McDonald's. It's got everything that you have. You don't see my home with trees hanging out of it. I'm in the middle of the Amazon. People think that people in Colombia, we still living in the middle of the Amazon, and we're just as modern as the States. However, the last thing I want to say, for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, washer and dryer unit, security, top flight security, all utilities included, including cable, $360 a month.
Shut your mouth.
And my building is only.
Wait, 360 what? 360 what?
US dollars?
US dollars.
$360?
You're playing dirty because you're leaving. So first off,
wait, $360.
That's it.
That's crazy.
Where? How's the internet? Because I will book a ticket now.
That's not even the kicker. Check it out. As long as the US dollar and the Colombian pesos fluctuate, my rent last year was $414. But the stronger the dollar gets, my rent goes down. So when the dollar was stronger a couple of months ago, and the pesos dropped down, listen, we were down to like $280 a month.
No.
Listen.
Listen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful.
I want everybody.
Right behind me, we have an island stove right here. So we got an island stove right here. Yeah.
Yes.
That made me angry.
Look at that. If you want to play that game, cost of living to live someplace awesome, we can do this all day.
Yeah. And we live in the suburbs. Colombia is broken down into six stratas. And we live in strata number 5. The higher above us is like mansions and everything. We live in number 5 for 360. So why you paying all that money in the States?
Yeah, because I could pay for about 5 people to live in comparison to what I pay here.
Strata or flauta? Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, there is no way. no way.
I need your email because I need to get out of here like yesterday. Yeah. And the only thing that's stopping me is I'm an English teacher. I'm an online English teacher, so I need good internet. And if it has good internet,
actually, Colombia
I've been making notes. I'm making notes. I'm just writing all the different places I can go. I like knowing people who live where. I was looking at Playa del Carmen. I was looking at a couple of places in Costa Rica. I was looking at a couple of places. Don't yell at me.
The other thing is about Colombia. Colombia is starting to be considered the new places for nomads because the internet for like Thailand in South Korea used to be like number 1 internet. Well, Colombia is making up for that by putting internet everywhere. You go to the grocery store, you go to the park, you could go to
and Colombia, I could go there and get my English teaching license.
The crazy thing about Colombia is when you go into a place, it's expected. Like in America, you can't go into somebody's house and say, what's the password? Or you can't go into a restaurant and say, what's the password? In Colombia, it's expected. As soon as you walk into somebody's house, what's the password?
Yeah.
If you go to a park, if you go to the grocery store, if you go to a restaurant, you give your phone to the waiter and say, could you put in the password so I can get Wi-Fi? That's what it's a part of. And so I do my work online and I could be anywhere. I could be anywhere in the country, Cartagena, Santa Marta, Medellin. I can be in Bogota. I could be anywhere doing my work because I don't have to feel like, oh man, I got to buy a Wi-Fi connector to bring along with me and all. No, Colombia is, as soon as you get somewhere, Wi-Fi is waiting for you. So a lot of nomads, digital nomads are starting to come to Colombia because A, it's not as far as Thailand, it's easier to get back to the States in case of an emergency or if I just want to see family. And B, Colombia has the 5th as far as emotional intelligence. A lot of people need to study that. Emotional intelligence. Colombia ranks number 5 in the world for emotional intelligence as far as being the nicest people, caring, understanding, passionate, compassionate people, ranks number 5 in the world. As far as health is concerned, United States has great health hospitals. But America does not rank.
I was about to say, don't lie.
As far as preventative health, Colombia also GMOs that are in food, those growth hormone foods that they let in America, is illegal here in Colombia. Doritos don't taste the same in Colombia. Completely different taste than in the United States.
That's food in different places is so much healthier.
The best drinking water in the world. You can drink tap water here in Colombia. Try that in the United States.
No, don't do that.
You see my skin right here? You see how smooth and shiny it is? But notice, that's fresh out the shower. In the United States, you got to put lotion on as a black person. You step out the shower, you itch it. Not in Colombia. Not here. Ain't nothing.
Well, here, let me ask you. Let me ask you one question.
Stuff in the water.
Let me ask you one question, because I know a lot of people would be like, when I went to China, they're like, oh my gosh, it's so dangerous. And I know a lot of people are like, if you go to Colombia, you're going to get shot up by the cartel and the drugs and what like that. So what
I'm going to get kidnapped.
Like, yeah, it's just like, one, why are you in that place in the first place? Like,
you know why they say that? Because just like we have crime in the United States, but we never promote it. But we promote other people's crimes. We never talk about school shootings when we talk about the United States. But we got the most school shootings in the world. We never talk about all that. We never talk about how United States have more child trafficking. We never talk about how United States has the most amount of prostitutes. We never talked about how United States use the most drugs. We promote it as the United States, the flag. But we put every other country down. We don't promote
to make us feel better.
So we were raised on getting bad food of information information about other countries, Egypt, India, China. We put down every other country. Then you go to that country, you find out it ain't all they talking about. Let's put it like this. There are spots in St. Louis I wouldn't go to compared to Chicago. And I used to be in a shop that I wouldn't go to compared to Colombia. Now, if you're in the jungle somewhere where you know the gorillas are and the drug dealers, of course, but that's in the jungle somewhere. Well, if you go in the hood, and we call it in Colombia, it's called don't give papaya. Don't give papaya means don't walk around with all these big gold chains. You got your fancy Jordans on, and you know Colombia is an Adidas country. You standing out, you giving papaya. You walk around with these giant, you don't have to do all that in Colombia.
Well, wait.
Be a regular person. And that's how you make money in Colombia, by saving your money, because you're not spending all that money on the stuff that America told you gotta look so fly and glamorous for. In Colombia, you are attractive as a person, not by what you have.
Well, you talk about not being a papaya. Don't stand out.
But that's the cool part. But the cool part about you can be yourself. You can stand out, but you don't have to wear or.
No, your hair will not get wrong.
No, I know. I know. My hair.
So do you also own your own business?
Yeah. I have an online business.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually do the YouTubing, but we also have our t-shirt brand. We also do online teaching. We also do consultation. We also rent a friend, because when people come to Colombia, come to Cali, they're like, listen, there's a website you can go to called Rent a Friend.
I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah, and people come to your city and you get paid $25 a lick. So if two people come for an hour tour of Cali, guess who just made $50 an hour?
And
if somebody calls me for consultation on Colombia and I get paid $100,
Andre, I want to talk to you about something, and we're going to have another chat about this because I know you're busy. For the people who don't know, I don't know if anybody knows that recently I do editing, copy editing, proofreading, and I've done some coaching for people who do TED Talks in English. But I want to know seriously whether or not you considered what I do in Brazil. And by the way, anybody who wants to add me on LinkedIn can go ahead. I'm the same person everywhere. I have been doing quite a bit of this. I do expat relocation services. I did it privately before, just for friends and friends of friends. But right now, people from all over the United States hire me and my company to plan, to train language training, visa, residency permit applications, SOS card, healthcare registration, arranging cell phone accounts, arranging bank accounts. That is something that is.
You know what? We do need to discuss that to bring that on board to our brand, because a lot of people ask that during the consultations, and usually I kind of do that and I don't charge for that, but because it's a part of it, because if I'm charging you $100 an hour, a part of the consultations is not just oral consultation, just talking back and forth. But as far as things and information I would get for you, like individuals ask me to, Andre, could you check on the price of this particular vehicle in your location? Could you go to a couple of dealerships for me? And I go to the dealerships, gather the information, or medical insurance, or how to open up a bank account in Cali, which I could use in the United States. How do I do money transfer? Andre, would you meet me at the airport? Those type of things. So there is so many opportunities to make that 25, 50, 100. And then if you have a YouTube channel, like we've gone, my real brother, he's one of our day ones. That's one of our, I know that he's one of our day ones. We started last year and we started last April. Now we're at 37,000 subscribers on YouTube in less than a year. And so we will probably hit 50 right around September, October. But what we try to do is continue to let Americans know, such as Kiki, take advantage of this thing called a planet, because that belongs to you. Just like, your people and everything that you are is part of a planet, not part of a country. I saw before I let you guys go, I saw a t-shirt one day that said the United States for North America and the United People for South America. So you want to live in a place, or at least visit a place And I tell people this: make the United States your second home. We did a YouTube video called "How to Make the United States your second home." Your passport at least allows you to be out of the country for 6 months. And I said, what's the worst that could happen outside of health, Kiki? The worst that could happen is you go back home, make some money, and leave again. That's the worst that could happen. Well, Leonardo DiCaprio does the same thing. Tina Turner does the same thing. Most does the same thing. They come to the United States, make some money, and they leave.
Don't live in America. But people don't know that. Watch
There's
this.
a lot of stars that do not live in the United States anymore. They come to the United States, you see them all around, they do tours, and they leave. And if that's the worst thing, Kiki, that can happen to you, you go to the United States for 6 months, make your money, and you leave. I know a young guy he's 35 years old. He's been doing it since he was 23. He went to school to become an accountant. And then once he graduated, he went on ahead and took H&R Block classes. And so whenever he lives in the Dominican Republic, whenever tax season comes in the United States, he goes to the United States for 4 months. He said, I don't party in the States. I don't drink in the States. I just do taxes in the States for 4 months. And when those 4 months are up, all the money that I made from tax season, I go live in the Dominican Republic for the rest of that time. And he has a few business clients that he works with that year. It's so easy, but the United States trains you and blinds you to thinking that you cannot do. You don't use your problem-solving skills in the United States. And that's why I said, at least make the United States your second home, because outside of health, the worst thing that can happen, you just go back home, make some money, and get the hell up out of there.
Yep.
That's the worst that can happen.
I'm going to give you one more thing before you leave that I would say, if you don't have this, I can help you set this up. And for people who know what's coming, they know I have a Patreon that's a monthly membership, and I do different things for different people depending on what they need. This is where I say things that are not fun. For everybody watching right now, stay here. We're going to have a lot of fun. But for people who want to know things like, okay, can you give me a technical breakdown of how to get an SUS medical card? Here, it's an hour and a half we did on it. Right. Can you give me a technical breakdown on how to get a job permit in Brazil? Here's a technical breakdown of it. My Patreon is not necessarily for fun, but that's for the hard information. And if anybody needs that personal one-on-one hand-holding, I'm going to walk you through this. They pay $100 a month, which is $25 a week, and I'm here whenever they need help. And I can tell you there are a lot of people who have told me to increase my prices because what I do is worth more than $24 a week. But I've got several revenue streams, and I'm trying to save people. I'm like, Andre, I'm trying to
That's it. We our goal for the first 3 years, and I've been here 2 years, were 8 revenue streams. We are now at 5 revenue streams. And because of the other revenue streams, we've been able to invest in stock market. We've been able to invest in mutual funds, index funds. So we're making money, still stateside money. At the same time, you make money because you're not spending the amount of money that you would spend in the States. You make $1,000 in Colombia, you doing good. The average Colombian only makes $50 US a month. That's it.
Here's the thing. I
mean, $250 to $450 a month.
We got Kiki in a sweatbox right now, boy. She in there.
I don't know why she's still over there in them states.
In the movies, when they're trying to like,
unless you got some kids over there that you check. I know people that have moved over here with families. I know one old lady. She came over here to visit a friend. Before I let you guys go, because I got to get ready to go. She came to visit a friend in Bogota.
20 minutes later.
She sat back and told her friend, she said, I'm sorry, I have to leave Colombia for a minute. She said, I'm about to take the next flight out. She said, drive me to the airport. She said, everything okay? She said, everything is fine. She said, okay. She said, I'll be back. This old woman, like 65, 66, got on the plane in Bogota, flew back home to San Francisco, sold everything in 2 weeks. What she didn't sell, she gave away, got back on the plane and flew back to Bogota to where her friend was, got her own apartment, and has not looked back. When I sit back and I see Americans that are getting 1,000 or 1,200 on Social Security, and you can bring that same amount over to here and live like a king and queen, and you over there struggling, and you got a city like this Colombia that is Medellin with 7 of the top 28 hospitals in all of South America is in one city. These veneers I got, These, come on, baby. Come on now. I came here for a reason.
I know that's right.
These veneers in the state.
Show me the grill, Andre.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Pearly whites, pearly whites, pearly whites.
These veneers in the States are 15,000. These veneers right down the street in Colombia, $500.
Wait, let me ask a question. Because I didn't do a video on this, but before I left China, I bought me 10 pairs of glasses and 2 prescription-based sunglasses because I spent like maybe 500. I spent like 3,000 kwai, which is like $500 for 10 prescription glasses. How much are glasses there? Because I need some glasses and I refuse to buy them here in America.
The only reason I haven't done glasses prescription here is because I came over here with 3 pair of glasses already. Okay. So that's the only reason I hadn't done prescriptions yet, because I already came over with 3 prescriptions already. I got the ones that like these that change with the tint, and then I got my other ones that are different styles and fashions. But actually, I'm looking to do the laser. I know one dude came over here, even cancer. I know one dude came over here. I met him at a restaurant, older white dude. He said, he said, what you doing here? I was like, I live here. And I said, what you doing? He said, well, I came over here for laser surgery because I had cancer. He said that cancer surgery would have cost me $25,000 in the United States. I said, well, how much you pay for it here? He said, I paid $2,500 for the same cancer surgery. I know another dude paid $1,600 to get a cancerous mole taken off his wrist or something, like he had in his wrist. He had cancerous moles growing. In Medellin, he paid $1,600 and got that. United States would have broke his back in insurance.
Yo, you got to come on with me. I'm about to do a video with a woman I know who's in the cosmetic surgery. Like, I'm in the lifting weights and she's in the cosmetic surgery, and we're like, everybody should have the body they want. She coming down.
Cali is #1 in the world for cosmetic surgery.
I thought that was South Korea.
No, Cali.
I got a friend of mine trying to get me to get a new girl for YouTube. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. He was like, just do it. It's not like you can't afford it.
You have so many entertainers and women from the States that come down to Cali. They got surgery hotels where you actually, after your surgery, you go to your hotel and there are servants, there are maids that will take care of you until you recuperate to get back on the plane.
Wow.
Kanye West came down here and got his teeth down here. 6 months, because what's his name? Tekashi 6ix9ine. He got his teeth done down here in Cali. What's the Cardi B in Cali? Yeah. They don't waste their money in the States. Why you gonna waste your money? And the surgeons, and the reason why the surgeons in Cali and in Medellin are so advanced, because they do so many plastic surgeries that you think Miami and LA are advanced when it comes to plastic surgery. They're light years behind South America.
Brazil,
they're past the Silicon phase.
You want to get a new body.
Here in Colombia, in Cali, you can get the butt and your breast done for about good 1,500, 2,000.
I think I'm good.
Andre,
I can thank my mama for that one. But I would like to go.
To get
they get that done here too.
You can come to Brazil. I got a lot of buddies of mine from jiu-jitsu and weightlifting. They'll come down here. You can call one of your buddies and say, I want to do a steroid cycle because I want to look good for Carnival. By the way, that's the tells you. When you see me and my crew and we rip our shirts off for Carnival, we'll take 3 months. Before that, we do regular weightlifting, but then for the 3 months before that, you take some stuff to shrink down the fat and bulge out the muscles. And here's the thing: doctors don't care. They're just like, okay, we got to make sure you monitor your blood. It's not a value.
It's not like in the States. The quality.
They're like, don't overdo it. I will go down and I'm planning on doing Carnival, but this year they closed in Carnival. You can just take 3 months.
I know they're doing it here too. Barranquilla is the world's largest Spanish-speaking carnival in the world. Like the largest and the grandest is where you guys are in Brazil, but the largest Spanish speaking is in Colombia, in Barranquilla. And I'm talking about they go all out. And this year, next year for February, it's canceled. It's like we made it to this year's, and it was like, and it's in February. It's like soon as it was over, quarantine. But as far as a lot of people don't realize, you can come to Colombia if you got moles you want to get rid of. it's next to nothing to do that. If you want to be in an oxygen chamber and just get fresh blood and fresh oxygen flowing through your body, next to nothing. So a lot of people just come down here on medical tours. They just come down
medical
here
tourism. Okay.
Point. They come down here to make sure that they if they had to have the surgery, lose that extra fat, they did that. If they want to get that butt bigger, they got that butt, the breast. If
Look at Laura. Laura, like,
calf working, he want his calf to become on and then if they want to have the best massages and the best skin techniques done, or if they want their blood to be cleaned out and reflushed back in, they do all that here in Colombia. So some people just come to Colombia once and twice a year just for medical tours because of the quality, and it's not expensive. To where you're paying $25,000, $30,000, $40,000, $100,000 for the same surgery that you're paying $2,000-$3,000 in Colombia. No, y'all can have the United States. If I'm gonna get sick, let me go ahead and be sick right here.
That's good to know.
For full insurance, we pay for a couple. We pay $30 a month.
See, and that's the thing. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know how great the rest of the world is. That's why they're like, USA, USA. They're saying that because I was about to say their dick's small. I'm so sorry.
You said it, sis.
It's true. But the fact remains, when I was on Kiki's side of the screen and on that side of the passport, and I heard these numbers, my brain couldn't equate to paying $360 a month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, all utilities included, cable, or you know everything. I couldn't equate that. I couldn't equate the fact that the same type of stores and products that we have in the United States. You got Walmart, we got Exito, the exact same stuff, literally the same stuff, because we all get it from China. So, but your brain can't equate that initially. It's got to be a trick, or he live in a bad neighborhood. We live in the suburbs next to the mall, right down the street. We actually met in the mall down the street. I actually asked her to marry me in the restaurant, a fancy restaurant in the mall down the street.
He said fancy.
Make fancy.
Fancy.
Yeah. In the actually is a nice mall down here. But the opportunity to know that as I get older, and let's say the worst thing that can happen to me economically, I'm on Social Security. At least I know my $1,000 a month Social Security that I receive from the States in that bank account will stretch a lot further here than it would while everybody's struggling, putting together pennies, hoping that they got a choice between eating and getting some pills because they're older. They say that statistically, in the last 2 weeks of our lives, we spend more money on medical than we had our whole lives. To sit back and realize that in the last 2 weeks of your life, you're going to be struggling just because you decide to be ornery enough to have to stay in the United States. In the last 2 weeks of your life, the last thing you give a damn about is a flag and where you stand. So I have decided within myself to convince others to at least for 6 months live outside the United States and make the U.S. your second home, not your first home.
And it
but
is
I got to
great
go,
practice
guys.
your language.
Yeah, sí, claro.
Claro que sí.
Give me about a year and a half. When I finish nursing school, I'm on it.
Whoop, whoop,
Come
whoop.
on. Hey, you guys know our channel, Love Crossing Borders. Our emails and all our information is there. Please reach out to us. If you don't have our email, ladies, get it from Yusef, because I would love to continue to keep day-to-day communication with you guys. So whenever you guys come, you don't have to feel like, well, I don't know anybody in Colombia. Well, damn it, you know Andre. So now you know us. And so you got a connection here in Colombia. So you never have to feel like you're by yourself.
That'd be fantastic.
That's what's up. Thanks.
Yeah, seriously.
Man, I need a birthday present. I think I'm going to go somewhere else for my birthday.
On the day-to-day. So I don't change. I'm not one of those funny style people that, when you don't see them on camera, they all of a sudden shy or quiet. No, I think me and Laura are exactly the same. We are who we are. Accept it and work with it. So yeah, definitely.
Well,
So
thank
I
you.
put on the screen for Ada.
Open
She
it.
asked about recommendations. So this is the doctor that I was talking to that I've used, right? And I'm gonna go even deeper. because what she just did with me, she gave me, what did I just get done the other day? I just got a deep clean. Yeah, I think it's a deep cleaning I got done on my teeth.
Oh.
And hold on a second. I'm going to go even deeper, and I'm going to show you guys a picture that I'm going to put on my Instagram for her to be able to use for her advertising. Because one of the other things I do is I seek out Black businesses to support. Not just restaurants where I'm going to eat a big steak, but for all the things that I do, I try to find a Black person first. And I got highly recommended into this Black woman who is a dentist. And she had me in there looking afterwards like, look, you see this? You see this? We're getting rid of all that.
Nice. You got a scaling?
Yeah, I got a scaling, brushed down with sodium boride afterwards, and then I'm going back, and she's going to do the edging and make sure I have any. I mean, she told me I got good, strong teeth because I don't eat any candy. But now, because for the American dollar, it's so cheap, she's like, I have another friend who's another Black woman. She said, I don't do this, but there's a Black woman that I deal with that get you a whole new grill, Wateef.
And mess up the trademark? Nah.
I told her, I said, I want to keep my gap. She was like, no problem. We can do all that, whatever you want. We got you covered. And it was it's little things like that that make all the difference in the world, is when you realize the things that a lot of people who look like us, i.e. Black or underprivileged people, these are things and these are opportunities that white Americans have been using for decades.
Centuries.
Because even those of us who can afford it don't know these things exist before the internet. They're not going to tell you. Like when I worked in the financial business, I learned about testosterone replacement therapy. Guys know me. I talk about it all the time. You know where I learned about it? It wasn't in the gym. It was from the older white traders who said, when you get to be 35, 40, go to your doctor and check this, this, this. And if these numbers say X, Y, and Z, tell them you want an injection of this, this, and this every week. Changes your life. And for the record, none of them feel bad for taking advantage of things that other people don't know about. Where do you think they send their wives who at 50 years old have a 30-year-old body? When they go on those holidays, they're like, yeah, we're going to Brazil for about a month. They'll spend 2 weeks partying and another 2 weeks. Yeah.
Car overhaul, undercarriage and over.
Guys, I hate to break up the party, but I need to run. It's 7 o'clock here, 7 p.m. here. And I need to feed the pregnant child that I have here.
Oh.
Okay, well, listen. All right, well,
sorry?
listen. Thank you so much.
What did you say?
I just said baby.
And I want you back.
Yeah. This was fun. I'll definitely come back. This was a lot of fun. I learned so much, and I appreciate you having me.
Adios.
Adios.
Chica.
So, does anybody else now? Laura, you don't have a YouTube channel, do you?
I have half of one, and actually, I'm going to learn a couple of things. I've been busy during quarantine with other stuff.
This is what I will tell both of you. If either of you want a YouTube channel, this is something people pay me for. I will show you the hashtags. I'll show you how to do all that stuff. It'll take about an hour because most of the hard work is just doing the videos. But both of you know stuff that other people don't. Be it language, about living abroad, be it just, all those things. And Kiki, I don't want you to think that we're bullying you. Anything we say when we get excited, we say it out of love. Because we all have
No.
Internet bullying.
Peer pressure.
Right. I feel it.
We just want you to have a better quality of life, because the one thing that I missed about living in China was the fact that I can actually every day, if I wanted to, be like the Chinese grandmas, walk to the market and get fresh food. There's no reason that soda here costs less than water. Yeah. And in other countries, it's not that. Food costs less than processed food, which is the way it should be.
Yeah, processed food.
Eating healthy changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
And we just don't know that. We just don't really, just low-key flexing, really. We just don't know that because we're conditioned like this is America the Great. Woot. No. It's lies. Lies and slander.
And you know what? What you said about eating well, I mean, it's not just eating well. It's that entire concept of living outside the United States, and I'm gonna say some very judgmental shit is coming down the wire. Americans are used to being unhealthy and fat. Let me say that again. In America, people are used to being unhealthy and fat. When you go to other countries, you find out very quickly, like in the United States, at 42 years old, I might be the only person in there my age. Now, when I go to the gym, there are guys with there are guys that are white hair, all white hair in the gym with me. Oh, thank you for the compliment, brother. YusefWateef knows the stuff with YouTube. He got my channel up and running and doing well. Highly recommended. Thank you. Thank you.
And most importantly, you can practice your language.
Yeah. Yeah, you can practice your language. But I mean, at 42, I didn't have the time nor the eating habits nor to do this. At 42 in America, you seem like some kind of a freak of nature. Let me tell you something. Out here, it's guys walking around older than me that make me look sad and small.
Who wear short shorts?
So, I mean, it's just your quality of life. And I think the reason that we're all so excited to say these things to you, it's you're young enough to get out and make it happen. And most of us that are so enthusiastic about helping you didn't have somebody who was already out there the way you do that you got us. You know what I mean?
Kiki, when you say you old, I believe that nobody's old until they're 70. But I have a sneaking suspicion that I'm older than you are.
How old? Do you know her age, YusefWateef?
I forgot, but you can ask her. She's right there.
I don't know.
Come on, don't let the American settlement make this question awkward. Ask me. Come on.
How old are you?
I'm 34 years old.
Okay, I'm 29.
See, I knew I was older than you.
How did you know?
With that two
because
in front of
black
your
don't
age?
crack.
That what?
Black don't crack.
What'd you say?
Black don't crack.
2 in front of your age is what I said.
Yeah, I'm almost 30 though. You know, I'll be 30 in some months or so.
Just make the decision now.
Yeah.
Peer pressure. Well,
Laura, you are so funny.
Why may I ask why you started learning Spanish in the first place? Like, what made you learn Spanish?
I just always wanted to learn Spanish.
Oh,
Siempre yo quería aprender otro idioma. Yo quería aprender español desde era niña. Desde yo era niña. I wanted to learn since I was like a little girl.
Yeah. Oh, no, I understood. I can't speak any of it. I did 6 years in high school and college. Can't speak it. Used to be able to read it, but I can understand a little bit. Every word I learned in Chinese, I lost in Spanish.
Even since I was like 8 years old, but I didn't have like the foundation. And then I started using italki. We kind of got off subject, guys.
We rolled down the hill hard.
We're supposed to be talking about how do we learn. I started using italki. And
I've heard of that.
Language partners, yeah. And I would write out paragraphs like my target language, and people would correct it. People can make comments on your paragraphs, whatever. I haven't been on it in a long time, but that's where I got most of my language partners from. And I just talked to them, and I asked them how to say this or that, and how to translate this for me.
I heard of italki when I was living in China. Okay.
Really? Yeah. That's
so tell us about italki.
Oh yeah, well, it's free for when I checked it. It was free. You just create an account and you can start contacting people for you can get a t-shirt, which you have to pay for, or a community tutor, which you also have to pay for. But I think the community tutor is a little cheaper, and they don't have I think they don't have an ESL license or something like that. Whatever, they don't have a license. A
TEFL or something.
Yeah, a TEFL, something like that. Or you can just get a free language partner, and you can just talk to them. You can help them. It's an exchange. So they might want to learn English, and you can teach them, and they teach you Spanish. And that's I don't know. You can talk on the platform, but usually utilize Skype or some other social media to talk to them. So you have to give them like your information. Because I was using Skype for a long time, but I just stopped. So I would Skype them. My first language partner was Dominican. And I would talk to this Dominican guy almost every day.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't talk to him anymore, but it was nice. I mean, I can Facebook him, whatever, but.
That actually sounds like something I might do because my Chinese is abysmal. But what I know well. What I don't is vast. So that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, you can write out little journals, whatever, and people will come and correct you.
Okay.
So yeah,
that sounds like fun.
Yeah. What else did I do? I just watched Santa Diabla on the Spanish channel. I mean, not on Spanish channel. I used to watch it on YouTube. YouTube have
What is that?
Santa Diabla. Es una mujer que me encanta. It's a regular telenovela. It's regular, nothing, but it have double subtitles on. It's on YouTube. So, well, you can switch the subtitles from English to Spanish. So I was watching that, and I was watching Tierra de Reyes, the Land of Kings. And I would like write down things I didn't know. And I didn't always go back and read my notes, to be honest. That's why I'm a really lazy language learner, because I don't always go back and read my notes. But it's just interesting.
It just sounds like that you learn differently. You learn by writing is what I'm hearing. You write everything down. And that's how you learn.
In my little She Learns Life YouTube channel, I would ask people how to say certain things, and I would prepare a speech, and I would try to memorize it, and then I make the video. You understand?
Interesting.
Yeah, so because I don't like this beginner stuff. Maybe I need to learn it in a more traditional manner, but I don't like doing that because it makes me like anxious to get to the next level. Like, okay, I want to do this after that. I can't just do Duolingo. I'm like, the ball is
you
red.
did Duolingo too.
Yeah, I mean, not really for Spanish, because I was a little too advanced, because I took 3 years of high school Spanish, so I didn't need to. I know the ball is red, you know. La pelota es roja. I know that, but I don't need to. Yeah, so I needed to talk. I need to learn how to talk, and the language partners helped me just hold a conversation. Just forcing you to talk, and then they can correct you and say, okay, how do I say this? So when you first learn, you basically need to like learn what you'll need to say to people. What sentence do you need to learn? I need to go to the market.
Here's what I'll tell you.
Whatever.
Here's what I'll say to you. Check this out. That's why I always advocate Pimsleur. Literally, that's what Pimsleur does. Their first conversation is, what are you going to say the first time you meet somebody like a regular person? Who are you? Where are you from? What do you want to eat? How do I order this food? That's stuff you're going to need to know the first day. And they literally make sure you're not learning, yes, the bus does need a new axle because other but that's why Pimsleur became so influential among expats. Is because they're not trying to give you stuff you're not going to use. They said, look, when you get 3 modules of this done, 3 30-day modules of this done, 90 days, you should be able to get off the plane and not sound like an idiot.
As Americans, we usually do. So.
Wow.
Again, there are people
I hate that.
No inflection or anything.
Yeah.
Someone was talking about Duolingo earlier. Yeah. Duolingo is not a bad app. Duolingo
for a very beginner, I think it's
when I came to Brazil, when I came to Brazil, it's why I was able to read.
And see, that was the problem that I was having when I was trying to learn languages, because I am a writer. I am a writing and kinetic learner. So I wrote everything down, and it bothered me to the core of my being that I could not read. So I was like, when I went to different schools, like, hey, I want to learn how to read Chinese. And they were like, well, most beginners don't want to read, so they just do speaking. I'm like, no, I want to learn how to read. I refuse to be an illiterate Black woman. You will not make me a statistic. So that's why it was harder for me to learn, because my focus was learning how to read. How do I write? How do I read? It's okay for me to say, hi, I'm American, but I want to make sure I can read it and write it. And that's how, well, there's a whole story connected to that, which is in connection to the restaurant that I took you to, which was fantastic. But it depends on what,
right?
Huh?
A fancy one? No, I'm just joking.
No, it was not
Oh, it was-
fancy. It was not fancy. It was delicious, but not fancy.
I'm not a food person. Like I rarely ever get food that's like really good. Like
You need to go to
I don't know,
China.
maybe something wrong with my tongue or something, but I've never eaten food like, wow, that was just delicious. Maybe not never, but it's just rare.
Well, that might not be your thing. You just got to find something that you like, and then, well, not you because you already know the language, but I mean, if you're trying to learn language, find something that you like and then put it in a different language, and then you're going to just talk about it. Because that's how I learned. My first 5 words in Chinese officially after I gave up learning Chinese was 5 words in Chinese: broccoli, noodles, rice, bread, and beef. And with that, I was able to order at a halal restaurant in China, which was a menu with no pictures, all Chinese words. And speaking it wouldn't have gotten me anywhere, but reading it and being able to point to it on the menu, that's what made me want to learn. I know how to write, let me learn how to speak. So that's why I say some methods work for some
people.
people.
You talking about, you need to, do we have any pictures of the Muslim lamb?
It is on my Chinese phone.
There is. I mean, send it to me right now. Text it to me on WhatsApp.
No, it's on my Chinese phone that's not charged. This is my American phone.
So in China, there is an area where the Muslims live, and they do this roasted lamb that is so tender. You can take your finger. I mean, she said, "What? Let's go grab something to eat." I said, "I'm game." We went down there, and I mean, they had to roll me out of that place. They had to roll me out because I was so. It felt so good.
It's amazing. And that's the thing about going to different countries. You get to taste the language through the spices, through the air, through their food. That sounded really weird, but I meant every word of it. I'm going to keep on peer pressuring you. You said you learned Spanish. What type of Spanish again?
Latin American.
So like, yeah, go there. Eat it. Eat the language. It's delicious.
I used to say I wanted to go to Spain, though. I think when I was younger, I wanted to go to Spain. That was my thing.
Well, if you go to Spain, you could catch a train and then visit a whole slew of different countries. Can't do it now. Can't do it now. You're banned Americans.
Yeah. They did?
Yes.
What do you mean?
We can't get in. We are banned.
Just quarantine, or just what do you mean? Like
no, you didn't.
Maybe I missed something.
You missed a big thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Europe has some places in Europe. The UE has banned Americans because we're too dangerous. Because some of us don't want to sit inside for a while and let the sickness pass. We want to, picket for haircuts.
Oh wow. Maybe
several countries have flat out said when they open up again, they're not letting Americans in because I live in Brazil. I've got my permanent residency. I'm not with you people.
But what about like is it Germany? There's people who already live in Europe that are American.
They're having they're talking about that. They don't know if they're going to ban them too because they have an American passport. They don't know what they're going to do. But for the most part, we are Muslims coming to America back in the beginning of Trump era. We are banned.
Oh wow.
How does it feel, America?
Wow.
Yeah, kind of sucks.
Privilegios. No, privileges.
Where are you residing, if I may ask? Because I'm in Houston. So
Ohio.
Oh, cold. Snow. No.
Well, it's very hot today. I'm like burning up right now. I shut the window because people are like cutting grass and stuff. So, and I'm just so hot right now.
Caliente.
Yeah, tengo mucho color aquí.
Oh, that's different.
Tengo mucho color. Caliente. People love saying that in Spanish. Caliente.
Oh, here, let me tell you. Let me tell you a story of, oh my goodness, embarrassment. When I was in China, of course, everything's when I was in China. I was at a club one day and I met a couple of guys that were like, some were from somewhere in Latin America. So I knew a little bit of Spanish because at that time I could recall most of my Spanish. And so I was talking to this one guy, I was practicing my Spanish and I was like, yeah, he's like, so when can I see you again? I was like, I don't know. On Sundays, I'm free. And the way I said it, I said, yo soy gratis. And he looked at me and was just like, I realized what I said. I was like, no, not that free. Not that free.
Oh, wait. Libre, tú eres gratis. Liberdad. Gratis. Yeah, I understand. That's a typical mistake. Because
yeah, but the way that he looked at me, I was just like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
What is you're free?
Yeah, like my pay scale.
Yeah.
My nightly rate.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you learn, I still want to know what this buying bread in Portuguese means.
Yeah, pão.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Eu quero pão agora. Eu quero pão agora.
But see, this is why I want you to come to Brazil, because you'll learn those tiny things about the influxes of the when and where and how, because you will learn the language, but there's also using it. And you find out real quick, there's some things you're like, wait, what? Or they'll say, we don't, for example, I live in Sao Paulo, and I would often hear people refer to Sao Paulo as Sampa. So I told one of my friends, oh, I live in Sampa now. And he said, stop. No one from Sao Paulo ever refers to it as Sampa. You can be a Paulistano, you can be a Paulista, but you never live in Sampa. Sampa is what other people outside of Sao Paulo refer to us as. So if you ever say that, say you're not
so weird like that. They act like they have Brazil is so weird like that. I have a language partner from Brazil, and she talks like there's like different tribes or something. Well, they have like indigenous tribes, but they talk like each city or area is like almost like a different tribe. They're like, yeah, those accents up north and those accents right there, they talk like this, and we don't say leite, we say leite. We say late, and they say leche, they say você, and we say, two, and I'm like, oh, dang, y'all live in the same country.
Oh, yeah, we do the same thing. Americans do the same thing, like soda and pop.
Yeah, but I feel like theirs is more extreme. Like they act like they can't understand each other. So it's like the accent is so weird.
Oh well, yeah, that is true.
We do have some like Atlanta accents. Man, I'm gonna go downtown. And I heard a video with a guy talking, and I was like, "Is he speaking English? Like, what is he saying?" Like, I needed a translator for another American. He was like a black American.
And them New Orleans accents, like, "How you doing, baby?"
Yeah, hey, baby. It's like country and Caribbean.
Oof! Don't get me started on that.
I'm gonna give you something else to look at about when you come to Brazil. Those small things. I want you to come here to be able to see this. Read this for me.
Biscoito e bolacha.
Biscoito ou bolacha?
Biscoito e bolacha.
What does that mean?
Biscoito, I think, means cookie, like or biscuit. Like in English, British English, they say biscuit. I think some kind of cookie. And I don't know. Ooh means ew,
delicious.
I guess in bolacha. Bolo means cake in Brazilian Portuguese.
Yeah.
So,
but now watch this. Depending on what city you're from, you refer to it as everything in that picture that we would call a cookie, you call it a biscoito or bolacha. But depending on what you call it, tells people where you were raised. Oh. And in the wrong city, claiming the wrong set.
Venus Semester said they do act like they don't understand, like they don't understand each region or something. Like what? And I don't know. No vivo en un país en Latin America or America Latina. They do.
It's the same in China. Different dialects. Southern Chinese and Northern Chinese is
light years difference. In New Orleans, they say make groceries instead of going grocery shopping.
Yes. Ooh,
that sounds weird. That sounds weird. Make groceries.
Great.
You're making groceries.
You don't make groceries. You go get groceries. We had so many fights. Me and my friends had so many fights. Like, oh, I'm gonna go make groceries.
I just heard that recently. I'm like, wait, that's so weird. You make groceries. It was something else too. Like, how do they say tissue or toilet paper? It was a girl from New Orleans made a whole video. She was a light skinned girl, I guess Creole or whatever. I don't know.
Hey, we don't play that here.
What? Colorism?
We're not gonna even get down that road.
No, she was like Creole or something. She was Creole or this not had nothing to do with colorism.
Bolacha.
That wasn't what I was saying. Like she said it because she was that. I mean, she was Creole, I think.
You will see people with a T-shirt that just says "Biscoito" across the front, like it was a gang
with an X going in it.
Or but if
like pop, drink.
It tells people, are you from Rio or are you from São Paulo? Because the two cities have a brutal rivalry. Brutal.
Oh.
You gotta say the accent. São Paulo. São Paulo.
No, you gotta use your nose. São
Paulo.
No. But when you see, that's the thing, when you get here, you'll learn it. But the nose thing, you only get it after just saying it wrong, but you're going up a little bit much. It's like São Paulo. But I'm making that up out of my nose. Huh?
The girl I talked to says it like that.
But is she from São Paulo?
I think so. I'm not sure. I think so.
Careful.
Would you be?
Because if she's from Rio, she's not going to say it the way someone from São Paulo would.
Okay.
At all. Not even. Their pronunciation would be totally different. And when they come to Sao Paulo, they immediately get,
Brazilian regional games, East Coast, West Coast. Sao Paulo versus Rio. Sao Paulo versus Rio.
Listen, I got to go. I got some stuff I've got to take care of. This was a lot of fun. You know what? We got to do this again. I think we really went into.
My niece was banging the door. Like,
oh no!
I'm like, I had to turn the camera off and stuff to get her toys or something. She needed toys at the room, so so I kept muting my mic because she kept like, "Can I come in now, please?" I'm like, "No, you can't come in. You cannot come in."
Is that you said your niece?
Mm-hmm.
Your niece? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen. Do you two want to give any last any sign-offs?
What can I say? Follow She Learns Life on YouTube. Join Melanated Multilinguals on Facebook. Follow Melanated Multilinguals WW on Instagram.
How come I can't find YouTube?
My what?
How come I can't find YouTube?
She Learns Life.
Is it all one word?
Yeah, it's all stuck together. I think maybe the L is capitalized. That's terrible. I don't know. I don't have to write it. I don't have to write it though. She Learns Life.
Here's what I'll say.
I want to write it, but I can't write it to the chat.
You have a YouTube channel. Between me and Andre, we could show you how to pivot your YouTube channel to literally support you while you are traveling and do it well.
I have 2,000 followers, 2,010 followers. I don't even know how.
Here's what I want you to do. Download this video that we did, and I want both of you to honor the same thing. I want you to know that you can download this video and put it on your channel, and it's fine.
Oh, I love the head wraps.
Thank you.
Yes.
2 of them are actually just regular clothes turned into head wraps.
Honey, they look gorgeous. That's all that matters.
Obrigada.
When you come down here, I'll take you downtown to where a lot of the women shop. They will get you some head wraps with prints you've never heard of or seen before. You can do entire videos
in the mail. You used to send me some in the mail.
You can do videos on the different ways that women wrap their hair down here. You could bring in special guests.
Oh, like him. Bring him.
The guy in the handsome black man video.
Yeah, bring him.
I don't know why I wanted to make a video because people always make a video of handsome black women. I was like, I'll make a video like that.
And click.
It's all doable, and anything that we can do for you, we will. All right. So I'm going to put this on the screen here.
Asante Kaka. Kaka not in Spanish, Kaka in Swahili.
Oh, what is it in Swahili?
Kaka means brother. Kaka means brother in Swahili.
Really?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Dada is sister. Asante Dada. Thank you, sister.
Aw. I had a student one time. They were trying to pick out English names or little short names that we could pronounce, and the parents wanted to use his play name, Kaka, and I was like, absolutely not. No, I will not be calling your cute little 4-year-old who is adorable Kaka. And I got blasted when I put this on when I was talking to some other teachers. They're like, how dare you say that his name is not appropriate in his language? I was like, hold up. First off, I'm the English teacher. And if he grows up and learns in English what his name means, then I'm at fault. And 2, you're trying to learn my language. In my language, your name means something like this. So that's
like
not
Kiki in French. Kiki in French.
Like what?
Kiki in French.
What
does it mean?
Penis is like wee wee, something like it.
Oh.
By the way, when you mispronounce the word "bon," you're ordering somebody's dick.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought so.
Now here's the question. Now, how do you order spotted dick?
They don't eat spotted dick in Brazil.
It was a joke. It was a joke.
I know.
And the only reason I know that is I lived in London.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing.
You lived in London. I know people hate when you do that a posh accent. Oh dear, you lived in London.
Yeah, London was not quite.
Where are you from, Yusef? Did they ask you where you from? They don't believe you. I'm from America. But where are your parents from? They're from America too. Where are they from?
You find that generally speaking, white people all over the world will consistently do that.
You have to be somewhere. You have to be from somewhere else.
Well, in Europe, most of the black people there are from somewhere else, so I understand that. But if you say you're from America, like if we don't know the history of America, like 50% of us have been here for like hundreds of years, if not more, like 60%. I'm not sure, but most of us have been here, for centuries. Our families have been here since slavery. So.
Well, I'm American because my ancestors died to build the country.
So, but even so,
that's another conversation. Listen. We gotta go. I love y'all. We're gonna talk again soon. All right, everybody.
Yes, another video, another time.
Yeah,
another video, another time. All right.
Kiki, it was wonderful meeting you.
It was nice meeting you too, Lori. So
wait, I have to do my sign off. I am ready for my sign off this time.
Okay.
I can do it. I'm gonna do it.
No,
all right, my bunny butts. I love y'all. Keep it cute.
Bye. I don't have that to do. Just bye, guys.
Bye.
Learn Slide. Follow melanated multilinguals. Bye bye.